After getting pinged 20 times after waking up with that one LCB Dawn video, I decided to step it up and do LCB run myself. And for that, who else but Heathcliff? As per usual, we grab LCB Mersault and Sveisenklar for extra 20% damage reduction, Chef Ryoshu and LCB Gregor for much needed healing. And now, let's talk about Heathcliff. He is actually really fun. When I was theory crafting an LCB run, I mostly just looked at sin affinities and resistances. Heathcliff did stand out to me, since not only does he fuel telepole really well, but also is a blunt unit with blunt resistance, and is weak to slash, which most slash dealing units are weak to piercing from telepole. All in all, he doesn't clash that well, but with access to counter, in my opinion, the best defensive skill type for solo Mirror Dungeon 2 hard runs, and infinite stacking of power up from his skill 2, he can get out of control real fast. And it really does offset his generally low stats and coins due to being an LCB unit. Other than that, his skills apply low amounts of tremor and can burst it. And as we all know by now, tremor is a status effect in Limbus Company that exists. Yeah. Thankfully, we did get an early talisman bundle, so we can stack a total of 2 Rupture per attack. Splendid. But in all honesty, even though Rupture from talisman bundle is nothing insane, it has been crucial ego for this run. Now, with Broken Revolver, Rupture actually becomes a consistent way of reducing enemy clash power by 1, which will be a huge boon for all future bosses and even some human fights. For our first boss, that barely qualifies as a boss, we have easy time since we love the city we live in. Right? You know how I mentioned Heathcliff is primarily tremor? Well, in typical tuber fashion, I have lied. Since now with Barbed Snare, we went in full circle and respect into a Rupture build. And going back through this footage, I realized how many sets of ego gifts we get back to back. In the shop, we grab today's expression that will give us even more power up when we kill with blunt thugs, Nixide Divergence to restore the balance between Rupture and Tremor, and recruited Molar Yi Sang for some defense level downs when we burst Tremor, alongside all reliable G-Corp Otis, and the usual LCB Rodia for 20% damage boost. Now, to our rescue comes one and only Star Luminary. As one of his effects, thankfully, grants us +2 resources to all sin affinities. Star Luminary is just such a homie. He has 4 possible outcomes, and all of them are extremely strong and good for the player. And he leads us right into a Pekatula fight, which, honestly, given the fact that we faced 6 of them and 4 of them had slashing attacks, actually caused some issues. At least, you know, they dealt damage to us. But since it is an abnormality fight, we can easily kill them one by one, and as long as we prioritize killing 1 per turn to maximize healing from Chef Ryoshu's and LCB Gregor's passives, we're back up in no time, ready to go for an elite node. We crack some K-Corp staff schools open, and honestly, this was the moment where I opened up to LCB Heathcliff, and genuinely started loving this run. Somehow, every time I run a Heathcliff solo, it is insanely fun, and I really mean it. Sometimes I just run Foxcliff solo for sheer amount of fun it gives me to use him, but that's for another video. As we get completely inconsequential ego gift from K-Corp stuff, we are faced with hornier version of our first boss encounter, which, thankfully, they follow the same idea of being relatively low threat, as long as we can reliably stagger them early on, and with that, they're pretty much gone. We pick up Golden Urn, as shops usually are the biggest turning point of any solo run, and recruit Ding Tang Honglu to reunite the Gamble duo for even more damage on head rolls. 7 Faust, since we actually have Rupture and can activate our fatal damage easily due to being blunt. To finish it off, we grab Sloshmail, because keeping Rupture and Tremor in balance is crucial. Yeah, that's right. As we go through human fights, we can rely on Telepole a lot. Especially since most of Picatula fights are quite good places to get resources for us. We are still lacking any ego generation gifts. We get night vision goggles from an event, which oddly enough could work for us, given that 2 of our ego are charge based. Makes me regret not picking up wrist guard earlier now. Golden Apple is an odd one. For some reason it clashes for insanely high values, which usually makes it a DPS race for a solo run. Just try to do as much damage with unopposed attacks and clash for whatever you may have a slither of chance winning. It doesn't have too much damage against us, so it didn't wall us for hours rerolling. But I think if we didn't have our extra damage from Rapture and defense down from Molar Yi Sang, we would have been struggling way more with it. Yet, we keep the apple staggered, burst it down as fast as possible, and continue forward to floor 3, the most influential one to the run, as this is the time where higher tier ego gifts become available. And you know, I could allude to some insanely powerful ego gift we are about to get, but it's a bit too early for that yet. So let's get to the shop after we grab Coffee and Cranes, our first ego resource generation gift. But it's not all. As I deviously mentioned before, ego gifts come in nice sets for us, and it's time for the ego generation set as we grab Grand Welcome from the shop and replace our skill 1 with an extra skill 2, purely for a lack of cost, and since skill 2 is one that stacks our power-ups. With Grand Welcome and Coffee and Cranes, we will have all resources we will ever need for this run. But wait, there's more. We add additional ego gift to that set with very conveniently placed Zippolator event. And now we're unstoppable. Previously, we have been tied to using only Telepole for clearing human fights, so blunt nodes always had a chance to wall us with a high amount of N-Corp enemies. Well, not an issue anymore, as we fry them up with AEDD alongside Telepole. For not only really good damage, but also 2 passives that makes our survivability way better. We managed to get Midwinter Nightmare, which gives us some extra sanity damage in form of sinking. And if you thought Zippolator was icing on the cake, Perversion is here to be a candle on top of it. And with that, very gentleman. It's an easy fight. Probably the easiest fight we could have gotten for floor 4. Especially with us being ineffective to blunt, so we set up our ego passives and trade blows for a while till he's too drunk to fight anymore. So, since most of people who really don't care about those videos left already, it's time to chill for the real ones who stayed. And remind that there is a community Discord, link in the description, where you can not only get spoiled on what I'm doing for the next video, but also I sometimes stream those runs and yell at people backseat gaming me. You know, the fun stuff. So join Shrimple Plays for higher skill, which means higher lack, so you can get your new Sinclair ego from your first 10 pool. Which is a great segue for me to a question. With Molar Otis and Sinclair ego coming out around the same time, which one would you want to see first? A Sinclair run with the new ego, or Molar Otis run? Now that Sinclair has an ego, I feel morally obligated to unbench him this once. But at the end of it all, I will leave it up to a vote for all of you in the community post that should be up now. Unless I forgot, which is likely. But with Fairy Gentleman slowly dying, we are reaching the point of the run where we skip through floor 5 with our overpowered build. But why not make it more powerful by adding extra Carmelia as a boss reward? And what would be my run without eventually getting beloved Grey Coat? Honestly, at this point, I should just drip out my profile picture shrimp into that coat, given how important of an ego gift it is for us. Oh, also we get Child Within Flask for even more ego resources that we definitely needed. Yup. But as I said, we will quickly get past floor 5, now with some good old reliable ego spam. Alas, let us shrimply move on. Get past some enemies, get some extra ego gifts that are more or less helpful. And before the boss, I ought to say this was one of the most fun encounters, and one I had to genuinely pull out a pen and paper to just plan out every move in every order, just to make sure my damage is just right, and my sin affinities from using egos are on point. Oh, what the fuck, we also got coin. I love when the game is like, yeah, no, bozo, you will lose it without coin, and just hands it out at the end. Either way, the boss is up, this was Axel, and I hope that you enjoy.
쨍그랑 보이다 그것만 계속해도 돼.